Hello and welcome to English Mastery Daily. This channel is designed to help you improve your English step by step through clear listening practice, real conversations, and practical speaking training you can use in everyday life. And now, Elena will guide you through today's lesson and help you practice your English listening and speaking skills.
I'm Elena, and I am so excited to have you here for part 2 of our masterclass on fluent English reactions. In part 1, we covered the first 50 common situations, building a strong foundation for everything from simple pleasantries to reacting to news. If you haven't seen that video yet, I highly recommend you watch it first. Today, we are going to jump right back in and complete our journey from situation 51 all the way to 100. We'll be diving deep into some of the most challenging and useful areas of conversation. We'll start by finishing our section on handling awkward and difficult moments, including how to respond to rude comments and admit when you've made a mistake. After that, we'll cover the practical, functional reactions that help us get things done, both in our personal and professional lives. And finally, we'll have some fun with a deep dive into the informal and slang reactions that will help you sound truly natural with friends, exploring the cultural context behind them. Just like in our last video, I encourage you to be an active participant. Imagine yourself in these situations and say the phrases out loud. By the end of this video, you will have a complete toolkit for handling 100 common situations with confidence. Let's get started, picking up right where we left off. We continue our exploration of life's tricky moments, finishing our section on handling awkward or difficult situations. Knowing how to react when things go wrong or feel uncomfortable is a sign of true social mastery. These phrases will help you navigate these challenges with grace. Our 51st situation is responding to a rude or inappropriate comment. Imagine you're at a social gathering and someone makes a comment you find offensive. Perhaps a stereotype or an insensitive joke aimed at a particular group. The atmosphere suddenly becomes tense. Your response really depends on your goal in that moment. To shut it down without a big confrontation, a quiet, firm response is powerful. You could say, "I'm sorry, I don't find that funny," and then physically turn your attention elsewhere. To set a clear boundary, especially if the comment is directed at you, you can say directly, "I'm not comfortable with that kind of language." A very effective and less confrontational tactic is to feign ignorance and force them to explain the prejudice by asking, "I don't get it. Can you explain the joke to me?" The nuance here is that stating "I'm not comfortable" is a personal statement that is very hard to argue with. Forcing them to explain the joke is powerful because most offensive humor relies on unstated, ugly assumptions. When forced into the open, the joke falls apart and the awkwardness is put back onto the person who made the comment. What you absolutely must avoid is forcing a nervous laugh just to ease the tension, as this can signal that you condone the comment. Similarly, escalating into a loud argument in a social setting can often be counterproductive. A calm, firm response carries more weight. Next, let's talk about admitting you made a mistake. You're in charge of a project, and you realize you sent an email with a significant error, the wrong deadline to your entire team and your boss. Panic sets in. The key is to act quickly, be transparent, and take full ownership. Do not wait. Send a follow-up email with a clear subject line like "correction, deadline for X project." In the email, you should write, "Apologies, everyone. Please disregard my previous email. I made an error regarding the project deadline. Then state the correct information clearly. In person, you'd approach your team and say, "Hey, team, I need to make a correction. I made a mistake on the deadline I sent out earlier. My apologies for any confusion that caused. The correct deadline is." Using phrases that take direct responsibility, like "I made an error" or "my mistake," is crucial because it builds trust. People are generally very forgiving of mistakes, but they are not forgiving of attempts to hide them or shift blame. Following up by showing you've taken steps to fix any problems caused by the error is also key. The most common mistake to avoid is using the passive voice, such as "a mistake was made," because this sounds evasive. Also, do not try to subtly blame someone else by saying something like, "The information I was given was confusing." Just own it, fix it, and move on with professionalism. This brings us to our 53rd situation. When you accidentally offend someone. You make a teasing joke to a friend, one you've made before, but this time you can see from their face, their smile drops, they look away, that you've actually hurt their feelings. You should apologize immediately, sincerely, and specifically. Don't let the moment pass. A good natural reaction is to say, "Hey, I am so sorry. That was a thoughtless thing for me to say. I was trying to be funny, but it was just insensitive. I won't say it again." A good apology has a few parts. It acknowledges what you did, which is what "that was a thoughtless thing to say" does. It shows you understand the impact, and it often includes a commitment to not repeat the mistake. It's all about validating their feeling of being hurt. The absolute worst thing you can do is offer a non-apology apology like, "I'm sorry if you were offended." This phrase is terrible because it implies the problem is their feeling of being offended, not your words. A real apology focuses on your actions. "I'm sorry for what I said." Let's practice. Imagine you teased your friend about their favorite sports team losing, but you realize it genuinely upset them. What would you say? "Hey, that's a perfect, sincere apology." Now, for a common professional challenge, responding when you don't know the answer. You're in a big meeting, and a senior executive turns to you and asks a specific question about data from another department. "Elena," she asks, "what was our user engagement rate in the Southeast region last quarter?" You have absolutely no idea. The worst thing you can do is guess. The best thing you can do is show confidence in your ability to find out. The gold standard professional response is, "That's a great question. I don't have that specific figure right now, but I can find out and get back to you by the end of the day." This response is perfect. It starts by validating the question with, "That's a great question," which is a confident and slightly flattering opening. It honestly states the current situation. "I don't have it right now." And it demonstrates responsibility and initiative by saying, "I will find out and get back to you." It turns a moment of potential weakness into a display of competence. You should avoid waffling, which means talking a lot without saying anything in the hopes of stumbling upon an answer. Or, even worse, making up a number. Getting caught guessing can severely damage your professional credibility. Let's move to handling a misunderstanding. You've been having a conversation with a colleague about an upcoming launch. After 10 minutes, you realize you're talking about the new marketing campaign launch while they're talking about the new software feature launch. You're on two different pages. The best way to handle this is to pause the conversation and clarify, often with a bit of self deprecating humor. A great way to do this is to say, hang on a second, I think we might have our wires crossed here. When you say the launch, are you talking about the marketing campaign or the software update? The idiom to have our wires crossed is a perfect, blame free way to describe a communication breakdown. It suggests a neutral technical glitch rather than anyone's fault, which allows both of you to reset the conversation without any finger pointing. You might have a little dialogue like this. You say A, and then we'll submit the final version on Friday. And your colleague replies, Friday? I thought the final review wasn't until next Tuesday. You can then clarify with, Oh, hold on. I'm talking about the Miller account proposal. Which project are you referring to? Our final point in this section is a sensitive one, comforting someone who is crying. A close friend is going through a tough breakup, and while telling you about it, they start to cry. It can feel uncomfortable, but your calm presence is the most important gift you can give them. Your goal is not to stop the crying, but to make it feel safe. Simple, quiet phrases are best. You could say, It's okay. Let it out. You're safe here. You can also offer simple, comforting validation like, I'm so sorry you're going through this, or I'm here for you, while handing them a tissue. The reason saying don't cry is often unhelpful is that it sends a message that their emotions are an inconvenience or something to be ashamed of. Phrases like let it out do the opposite. They give permission to feel. Sometimes the most powerful thing is to just sit with them in silence and offer a comforting hand on their shoulder if your relationship is close enough. A crucial mistake to avoid is immediately jumping into problem-solving mode with advice like, you need to just block their number and get back on the dating apps. Before they can think about solutions, they need space to process their sadness. Just be present. This brings us to our sixth category, functional reactions. This category is all about the practical, task-oriented responses we use to organize our lives and collaborate with others. These are the phrases that get things done. Mastering them makes you a more efficient and reliable communicator in both your personal and professional life. First, confirming plans. You've made a plan with a friend to meet for dinner tomorrow. To avoid any confusion, you send them a quick message to make sure it's still happening. It should be short, friendly, and clear. For example, hey, just wanted to confirm we're still on for dinner tomorrow at 7. A more casual version is, hey, are we still good for tomorrow? When you receive such a message, a clear, enthusiastic reply is great, such as, yep, still on. Can't wait, or absolutely. See you then. The phrases still on or still good are the standard ways to ask for confirmation. Adding looking forward to it or can't wait in your reply reinforces your enthusiasm for the plan and makes the other person feel good about meeting up. The thing to avoid is a vague confirmation like, I think so, which only creates uncertainty. It's always better to be clear and definite. Next, asking for permission. You're at a friend's house and your phone is at 1% battery. You see a charger plugged into the wall that's not being used. It's always more polite to ask than to just assume, even with a good friend. You could say, would it be all right if I used your charger for a bit? My phone is about to die. Or, if it's in use, you might say, do you mind if I just unplug this lamp for a moment to charge my phone? I'll plug it right back in. The phrases, would it be all right if I and do you mind if I are the two most common and polite ways to ask for permission. Providing a brief reason is helpful context, and offering to restore the situation, like plugging the lamp back in, is very considerate. In a mini dialogue, you might ask a colleague, "This meeting room is a bit stuffy. Do you mind if I open a window?" And they would likely reply with, "Not at all, go right ahead." The phrase, "go right ahead," is a very common and welcoming way to grant permission. But what if you need to politely decline permission? Following that last scenario, your colleague asks if they can open a window, but you are sitting right under the window and are feeling very cold. You can deny the request politely by explaining your reason and, if possible, offering a compromise. For example, actually, I'm feeling a bit chilly since I'm right by the window. Would you mind if we kept it closed for just a little longer and maybe we can take a quick break in a bit to get some fresh air? Starting with actually or to be honest can soften the refusal. Explaining your reason makes it a personal need rather than an arbitrary no. Offering a compromise shows that you are trying to be considerate of their request as well. It's very important to avoid a blunt no, which can seem confrontational. Always provide a soft reason to maintain a collaborative atmosphere. Now, for making a suggestion. You and a group of friends are trying to decide what to do on a Saturday. Everyone is indecisive. You should phrase your idea in a collaborative way that invites feedback. You could ask, "How about we try that new hiking trail we were talking about?" Or, "I was thinking maybe we could have a barbecue at my place if the weather's nice. What do you all think?" In a work setting, you might say, "Here's an idea. What if we approach the client with two different options?" Phrasing it as a question like, "How about," or "What if," invites others to share their opinion, making it feel like a group decision rather than a command. Adding "What do you think?" explicitly asks for input and shows you value their perspective. In response to a suggestion, you have a few options. If your friend suggests, "Hey, let's go see that new action movie tonight," you can agree enthusiastically by saying, "That's a great idea. I'm totally down for that." Or simply, "Sounds good to me. I've been wanting to see it." To disagree politely and offer an alternative, you could say, "To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of action movies. I was hoping for something a bit more relaxed. How would you feel about seeing that new comedy instead?" The phrase, "I'm down," is a very common, informal way to agree to a plan. When disagreeing, framing it as your personal preference is softer than saying, "That's a bad idea." And offering a counter suggestion shows you still want to do something with them. Let's practice. I'm your colleague. In a meeting, I suggest, "I think we should move our team meeting to Friday afternoons." You know this is a bad idea because everyone is tired and unfocused on Fridays. How do you politely disagree and suggest another time? Excellent. That's a great way to handle it. Next, expressing a need or want clearly. You're in a clothing store and a salesperson is helping you. You need a different size of a sweater. Instead of a blunt command like, "I want a medium," a more polite phrasing is, "This is great. Could I please try this in a medium?" Or, "Do you happen to have this in a medium?" In a work context, instead of just, "I need help," you could say to a colleague, "I could really use a second pair of eyes on this email before I send it to the client. If you have a moment, Using modal verbs like could I softens the request. The phrase I could really use is a great collaborative phrase that makes the other person feel genuinely helpful and valued, rather than just being ordered to do something. Sometimes you need to give a gentle reminder. Your roommate was supposed to take out the trash this morning, but they clearly forgot, and the bin is overflowing. The goal is to remind them without sounding like you're nagging or being passive aggressive. A gentle, friendly, and direct reminder is best. Hey, just a friendly reminder that it's your turn to take out the trash. Or you could phrase it as a question. Hey, did you get a chance to take the trash out yet? It's getting pretty full. The specific phrase, just a friendly reminder, is perfect because it explicitly states your intent is not to nag or criticize. It keeps the tone light and cooperative. You should always avoid passive aggressive comments like, wow, the trash smells terrible, hoping they'll get the hint. This can create resentment. It's almost always better to be direct and kind. Another functional reaction is giving a warning. If you see someone about to walk into a freshly mopped wet floor in an office building, and the sign is small, your tone should be urgent and your words clear. You would exclaim, watch out, or, oh, be careful, the floor is wet there. For a less immediate danger, like giving a friend advice, you can use a friendly warning, like, just a heads up. The traffic on the main highway is a total nightmare this afternoon. Or, I should warn you, the boss is in a really terrible mood today. The phrase, watch out, is for immediate danger. Just a heads up is a very common, informal way to give a friendly warning about a non urgent problem. It's like saying, I'm sharing this information for your own benefit. After giving instructions, it's vital to check for understanding. You've just explained a multi step process to a new team member. You want to make sure they've understood before they start the task. You should ask a simple, open question that doesn't sound like a test. For instance, does that all make sense? Or, so, does that seem clear so far? An even better method is to invite questions by asking, what questions do you have for me? The reason for this is that asking, does that make sense, is better than, do you understand? Which can sometimes sound a bit condescending or like you're questioning their intelligence. The most confident and effective approach is asking, what questions do you have? Oh, it's a very open and collaborative phrase that normalizes the act of asking for help, making people more comfortable to admit what they don't know. Our final functional reaction is asking for a significant favor, like asking a friend to look after your cat for a whole week while you're on vacation. You must acknowledge that you are asking for something big and make it easy for them to say no. You could start with, hey, I have a potentially huge favor to ask you, and please feel free to say no. There's no pressure at all, but I was wondering if you might be able to look after my cat next week while I'm away. After you ask, you must reiterate the out. I would totally understand if you can't, so please don't feel obligated. I have a backup option, but I wanted to ask you first. By framing it this way, huge favor, no pressure, feel free to say no, you show immense respect for their time and autonomy. This makes them far more likely to want to help you than if you just assumed they would. This brings us to our final category, informal and slang reactions. Welcome to the most casual part of our lesson. These are the phrases you'll hear among friends in very informal settings and all over TV shows and movies. Using them correctly can make you sound incredibly natural and in the know. But a word of caution: context is everything. These are generally not appropriate for formal or professional situations. First, for casual agreement, if a friend says, "This new album is amazing," instead of "I agree," you could say, "For sure." It's a casual equivalent of "absolutely." Another very common one is totally, as in totally, "I've had it on repeat all day." These are used among peers and friends as a quick, low effort way to show strong agreement. Next, for expressing impressiveness or amazement, especially with modern slang, words that are typically negative can be high compliments. If you see your friend's new, very cool custom built computer with water cooling and neon lights, you could say, "Whoa, that's sick." Or, "That setup is insane." In this context, sick and insane mean extremely cool or impressive. Your tone is key. It should be excited and positive. This is primarily used by younger generations, so you probably wouldn't say this to your grandmother about her new knitting project. For friendly disbelief, when a friend tells you a story that is clearly a joke or an exaggeration, like, "I'm thinking of becoming a professional unicycle rider," you can say with a laugh, "No way, you're pulling my leg." Or more simply and with a playful tone, "Get out of here." The idiom to pull someone's leg means to joke or trick them in a lighthearted way. It's a very common and widely understood phrase across all age groups in informal settings. When you want to say "you're welcome" in a very casual way, after a friend thanks you for grabbing them a coffee on your way to their house, instead of a formal "you're welcome," you can say "no worries" or "you got it." No worries is extremely common, especially in Australian, British, and American English, and it means it was no trouble at all. "You got it" is a friendly, can do response that signals you were happy to help. To express empathy or understanding, if a friend is complaining about having too much work, "I am so swamped this week, I barely have time to breathe." A short, empathetic response that shows you understand their feeling is, "Ugh, I feel you." This is a modern slang way of saying, "I understand and empathize with your situation." And it's very common among younger speakers as a way to create a sense of shared feeling. When agreeing to a plan, instead of a simple yes to the question, "Want to grab a pizza later?" you could say, "Yeah, sounds good." Or to show more enthusiasm, "I'm down for that." "I'm down" or "I'm game" are very common ways to show you are willing and eager to participate in a suggested activity. "I'm down" is slightly more modern and common among younger people. To dismiss a minor problem, if someone apologizes profusely for being a few minutes late by saying, "I'm so sorry, the traffic was crazy," you can wave it off and show it's not a problem with phrases like, "It's all good," or "Don't worry, it's no biggie." These phrases mean it's not a big deal, and they instantly put the other person at ease, letting them know that no offense was taken. No biggie is a casual diminutive of no big deal. When you need to announce your departure from a casual hangout, instead of a formal "I must be going now," you can say, "All right, I'm gonna head out." Or a more slang version, "All right, guys, I think it's time for me to bounce." Head out is a very common phrasal verb for leaving. Bounce is very informal slang, common among younger people, that creates a sense of a quick, casual exit. Let's talk about the word cool. It's perhaps one of the most versatile and enduring slang words in English. It can be used to mean, "Okay, I understand," That's a good idea. Or just as a general, low energy acknowledgement. For instance, if someone says, "We'll meet at 7," you can reply, "Cool." Or, "I got the tickets for the show." Cool. Its versatility is its strength, and it works in almost any casual situation where a simple affirmative response is needed. To express mild annoyance in a friendly way, if your friend, for the third time in 10 minutes, asks to borrow your headphones when you're clearly trying to work, you could say with a sigh, "Again? Dude, you really need to get your own pair." A very common cultural reference for this feeling is, "You're killing me, Smalls." The word dude can be used to signal friendly frustration. "You're killing me, Smalls" is a famous quote from the 1993 movie The Sand Lot, and it has become a popular, humorous way to say, "You're being a pain," or "This is exasperating." When something is obvious, like a friend frantically looking for their sunglasses, which are sitting right on top of their head, and they ask, "I don't get it. Where could they be?" You can state the obvious with a bit of playful sarcasm. Um, have you checked the top of your head? A very common sarcastic phrase for this is, "No duh," or "Well duh." Duh is a classic slang interjection that means, "That's completely obvious, and you're being a bit silly for not realizing it." It should only be used with close friends who understand your humor, as it can sound insulting to a stranger. When you don't care about something, like your friends having a heated debate about a reality TV show that you have never seen and have absolutely no interest in, you can express your total lack of investment by saying, "I'm going to be honest, I could not care less about this." A more modern slang way to say this is, "I have zero skin in this game." "I couldn't care less" is a strong statement of indifference. The idiom "to have skin in the game" comes from business and investing, meaning to have a personal stake or financial interest in the outcome. Saying you have zero skin means the outcome is completely irrelevant to you. When something is very easy, if someone asks if it was difficult to assemble your new IKEA bookshelf and you found it surprisingly simple, you can say, "Nah, it was a piece of cake." Another very common idiom is, "It was a breeze." Both of these are popular idioms that mean something was incredibly easy to do. Piece of cake is thought to originate from the 19th century when cakes were sometimes given as prizes in easy to win competitions. To tell someone to relax when your friend is incredibly stressed and overthinking a minor problem, like what to wear to a casual party, you can tell them to calm down in a casual, reassuring way. "Hey, chill out. It's not a big deal. No one's gonna care." A very informal command is simply, "Dude, relax." Chill out or just chill are very common slang terms for relax. But be careful with your tone. It should be reassuring, like, "Hey, it's okay. Chill out." Not dismissive of their feelings. To agree to do something reluctantly, if your friends all want to see a horror movie, which you absolutely hate, but you agree to go so you're not left out, and they ask, "So, are you coming?" You can show your lack of enthusiasm with your response. With a big, dramatic sigh, you might say, "Fine, I'll go. But I am covering my eyes the whole time, and you're buying the popcorn." A common response is just a drawn out, reluctant, "Fine." When you're very tired at the end of a long week and it's 9 p.m. and a friend texts, "Want to go out for a late drink?" You can express your exhaustion using informal language. You could say, "I'd love to, but I'm completely wiped," or Sorry, I'm just beat. I really need to crash. Wiped, beat, and spent are all common slang adjectives for being exhausted. To crash is a slang verb for to go to sleep, often implying you are so tired you will fall asleep immediately. To say something is expensive when you're window shopping and look at the price tag on a designer jacket that costs thousands of dollars, you can express your shock at the price. Wow, that costs a fortune. A very common and colorful idiom is, yikes, that costs an arm and a leg. The idiom to cost an arm and a leg is a very popular and vivid way to say that something is extremely expensive, and it has been used since the aftermath of World War I, referencing the sacrifices soldiers made. Conversely, to say something is cheap or poor quality, if you buy a cheap phone charger from a gas station and it breaks the first time you use it, you can express your frustration with the low quality. Ugh, this thing is such a piece of junk. Or, I knew I shouldn't have bought this. It's so janky. Piece of junk is a classic phrase for a low quality item. Janky is a more modern slang word that means unreliable, shoddy, or of poor quality. It's often used for electronics or poorly constructed objects. When you're confused or baffled, for example, when you're trying to follow the plot of a very complicated, non-linear movie with many characters, you can lean over to a friend and whisper, I have no idea what is going on right now. A common slang phrase for this feeling is, my brain hurts trying to follow this, or a simple, I'm so lost. To encourage someone who is about to go on stage to give a presentation and is looking very nervous, you can give them a final boost of confidence with a short, powerful phrase. You've got this. Or go on, you'll smash it. Or go knock 'em dead. You've got this is an extremely common and encouraging phrase. To smash it is a British and increasingly American slang term meaning to do something extremely well. Knock 'em dead is a classic idiom from the theater world, meaning to perform so well that you overwhelm the audience. When something is suspicious, for example, if you receive an email that says you've won a new phone, but you have to click a link and enter your personal details, you can express your suspicion. I don't know, this whole thing seems a bit sketchy, or, something feels fishy about this. Sketchy and fishy are both popular slang words used to describe something that seems dishonest, unreliable, or generally suspicious. They both create a sense of unease. Let's do a quick practice. Your friend tells you about a new investment opportunity that promises to double your money in a week. What's a natural, skeptical reaction? Yes, that sounds fishy is perfect. To end a discussion, you're losing in a light-hearted argument with a friend about which movie superhero is the strongest, and they make a very good point that you can't argue against. You can end it with a dismissive, humorous phrase. With a wave of your hand, you might say, yeah, whatever. Or you can concede gracefully but end the debate. Okay, look, let's just agree to disagree on this. Whatever can be rude, so it should only be used with a playful tone among good friends. Agree to disagree is a more mature way to end a friendly debate where there is no right answer. To express strong approval of an idea, when your friend suggests, instead of cleaning the apartment today, let's just skip it, go to the beach, and deal with the mess tomorrow. You can show you're very enthusiastic about this excellent idea. You could say, oh, I am so here for that. Or, yes, I'm 100% on board with that plan. I'm here for it is a modern slang phrase that shows strong support and enthusiasm for something. On board is a common idiom, originating from being on a ship or train, which means you agree with a plan or idea and are joining the effort. When you have a sudden realization, after you've been looking for your keys for 10 minutes, checking every counter and table, and you put on your jacket to leave and hear them jingle in your pocket, you can exclaim at your own silliness. Oh, duh! They've been in my pocket the whole time. A classic expression for this is a facepalm gesture, often accompanied by the word dough, which was popularized by the TV show The Simpsons and is now in the dictionary. To compliment someone's skill, when you watch a friend who has been practicing a difficult song on the guitar finally play it all the way through perfectly, you can give them an enthusiastic compliment on their success. Dude, you nailed it. That sounded perfect. Or, wow, you're a natural at that. To nail it, oh, is a very common idiom that means to do something perfectly or to get something exactly right. Calling someone a natural is a high compliment, meaning they have an innate, seemingly effortless talent for something. To say, I told you so in a playful way, after you warned your friend not to eat the whole bag of spicy chips, and now they are complaining that their stomach hurts, you can be a bit smug. The direct, I told you so can sound harsh. A more playful teasing version is to give them a knowing look and say, well, 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 if it isn't the consequences of your own actions. Or more simply and less sarcastically, you can just say, just saying, which is short for I'm just saying. When you feel awkward or uncomfortable, for example, when you walk into the kitchen and your two roommates have clearly just been in the middle of a very tense, quiet argument, and the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife, you can whisper to a friend, yikes, this is awkward. You might even say it out loud in a self deprecating way to break the tension, putting your hands up and backing away slowly while saying, okay, well, this is awkward. I'm just gonna not be here and get a glass of water later. To say you're leaving to go to bed when it's late at a party and you're feeling your energy fade, you can announce your departure to the group with a phrase like, all right, everyone, I think it's time for me to hit the sack. Or, this has been fun, but I think I'm gonna call it a night. To hit the sack or to hit the hay are old but still very common idioms for going to bed. To call it a night is a common phrase that means to decide that the evening's activities are over for you. When you strongly support someone who is nervous about having a difficult conversation with their boss, but you believe they are doing the right thing, you can offer your complete support and solidarity. Don't worry, whatever happens, I've got your back. Or, you're doing the right thing. I'm in your corner, 100%, I've got your back, and I'm in your corner, a boxing metaphor, are powerful idioms that mean you will support and defend them no matter what. To dismiss something as unimportant when someone is apologizing profusely for a very minor mistake, like accidentally using your coffee mug, you can reassure them that it's truly not a big deal and they can stop apologizing. Honestly, don't even sweat it. It's just a mug, or "Pfft, that's nothing. Please don't worry about it." Don't sweat it is a common slang phrase that means don't worry about it. The sound "pfft" is a dismissive sound that can be used to show that something is insignificant. When you almost forgot something important, for example, you're walking out the door to go to work and suddenly remember that you have a dentist appointment in an hour, you can exclaim out loud, Oh, shoot. I almost forgot I have that appointment. Oh, shoot is a mild, polite exclamation of surprise or frustration, often used when you suddenly remember something you nearly forgot. It's a softer version of a stronger swear word. To say you understand something difficult after a long explanation from a coworker about a new complex software and the idea finally clicks in your brain, you can express this moment of understanding. Okay, okay, I think I'm wrapping my head around it now. Or a more classic phrase, ah, okay. The pennies dropped. The idiom to wrap your head around something is a great visual for the mental effort it takes to come to understand a difficult or complex idea. The penny has dropped is a common, mostly British idiom for that aha moment when you finally understand something. To say something is awesome or excellent, when you taste the best dessert you've ever had in your life, you can use strong, positive slang to show your high approval. This is legit amazing, or wow, this is top notch. Legit is short for legitimately and is used as a modern intensifier to mean truly or seriously. Top notch is a common adjective that has been around for a long time, meaning of the highest quality. And finally, our 100th situation, a casual way to say goodbye. You're leaving a casual get together with a group of friends. Instead of a simple goodbye, you can use a friendly, relaxed closing. All right, guys, take it easy. Or catch you later. Or simply, later. Take it easy is a very common, relaxed way to say goodbye that wishes the other person well. Catch you later is a friendly and informal promise to see them again soon. And there we have it. Across these two videos, we have completed our journey through 100 situations, and you now have a whole new, deeply nuanced toolkit of natural, fluent reactions. We have journeyed together from the simplest good morning to the complexities of polite disagreement, from sharing in a friend's joy to comforting them in their moments of sorrow, from navigating a professional meeting to just chilling out with friends. I know this was a marathon series, packed with an immense amount of information. Please do not feel overwhelmed. The true goal of this deep dive was to open your ears and your mind to the rich, vibrant, and often subtle variety of reactions that exist in everyday English. The most important takeaway from our time together is this: fluency is not just about the words you choose, but about the speed, the confidence, and the emotional appropriateness with which you respond. It's about being truly in the conversational moment, not observing it from the outside while you translate in your head. So, what's next? My advice to you is to make this actionable. Don't let this just be information you heard. Turn it into a skill you possess. Go back and pick just 3 or 4 new reactions from this video that resonated with you. Write them down. For the next week, make it your personal mission to find an opportunity to use them. Try one in a conversation with a language partner, use one in an email, or even just say it to yourself in a practice scenario. Once those few phrases start to feel natural and automatic, come back to this series and pick a few more. Bit by bit, like an artist adding new colors to their palette, you will build a powerful and flexible repertoire of responses that will make your conversation smoother, your connection stronger, and your confidence soar. Language learning is a journey, not a destination, and adding these small, powerful phrases to your active vocabulary is like discovering a network of secret passages and shortcuts on a map you thought you knew. Thank you so much for joining me for this special two-part series. I hope you found this masterclass as helpful and interesting as I did. Now I want to hear from you. What is a situation where you often feel unsure of how to react? Please share it in the comments below. The community here is wonderfully supportive, and perhaps we can all help each other find the perfect words. If this series has helped you, please consider giving it a like,